When do you think Tennessee hands out its Super Bowl rings for beating South Carolina? Do you do it this year? Do you do it next year? Maybe you do it before the Georgia game. All they've won is the college football playoff. They've not won the Super Bowl. According to Spencer Rattler, that's exactly what Tennessee did. So congrats to the Vols on raising the Lombardi.
Usually we'll do it during the bye week. During the homecoming week, let's do it UConn. It should be a quick turnaround on the rings.
Okay, cool.
Ribbons.
Cool.
Ribbons.
What a whiny baby thing to say after getting your ass beat.
It
was their Super Bowl.
That's exactly what Spencer Rattler said. I guess he was intimidated by seeing a real college football environment for one of the few times in his 8-year college quarterbacking career. Tennessee made quick work of South Carolina. This one was mixed bag from Joe Milton. But, guys, like we said, coming into this season and the offseason, it's still a 21-point win, even though it looks a little bit different, the recipe to get there. And I thought Tennessee's defense sent a message that not only did it take last year's loss personally, but it's a completely different defense than it was last season.
It is. And that's where the step has been taken for this team, man. You got guys getting defensive players of the week. We're in week, what was this, 5? And it's making it happen like this. This is big time. Yep. The defense was what everybody was dependent upon and what we were worried about because of the pace and speed of this offense. I think that's what's most fascinating is watching these dudes get home. I tweeted out Saturday, man, y'all better enjoy James Pierce. Please enjoy him. He's got one more. Mm-hmm. And that kid is gone. That young man is he probably teetering first-round draft pick if he keeps this up.
Phenomenal player.
He is crushing it, getting after the quarterback in different ways, too. He's rushing from the right side, the left side, and just being able to just bulldoze through folks. Joe, to me, Saturday was good enough. I think he goes with what the offense tell him to go with. And that's why I think the separation between him and Hendon, it kind of comes into play a little bit. That second pass he tried to throw to Jacob Warren, I thought was a tad too much. You visited that Honeywell a little bit too much on that one, man. You find somebody else. If I'm not mistaken, I think Squirrel was wide open on the right hash line right there, too. So it's development of his keys is what I see the separator from this year and last year. Hendon was good at making it happen. He just was. And some guys have to develop that over time, and maybe Joe gets better gradually throughout the season because I'll tell you this bye week couldn't come at a better week. They got to get healthy, too.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the game that you guys had been talking about. I mean, I know Ron, revenge all last week, and rightfully so, because South Carolina handed y'all that loss last year, handed Tennessee, a loss where Spencer Rattler was really, really good. And so I liked the preparedness, the readiness that they played with on Saturday. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't perfect, but they did what they needed to do, including get on the board, and they did in every single quarter, consistently scoring the points like they needed to. The run game was good. Jalen Wright was good. And look, he doesn't have to be perfect, Milton, because he's a different quarterback than Hendon Hooker. And I think that we're always going to compare him because I think Hendon was so special. The more and more we look back at that, I think he was such a special quarterback. But if you have everything else kind of going here in terms of the run game and some of these wide receivers like Squirrel White stepping up, especially when you had a guy like Brew McCoy go down, and that they could have gone either way at that point of the game, and they continued to just play the football they needed to play and get the job done. And you talk about the defense, like everybody was chipping in. 6 sacks on Spencer Rattler. Everybody wanted a piece of that. I thought that was good too to see.
And yes, South Carolina has a bad offensive line, but how many times have we seen teams have bad offensive lines that Tennessee doesn't take advantage of, including against Florida? This was the way I expected Tennessee to win the line of scrimmage in the Swamp, and they did it at home, and they were healthier in the process. Elijah Simmons coming back, by the way, was a big surprise to everyone, and that's outstanding news for Tennessee that he was healthy enough to play in the week before the bye week, because from our conversation with Brent Hubbs on Friday, it sounded like behind the scenes that he was trending towards being back for A&M. So that's a good sign for Tennessee. Stephens had 20 pressures, almost 20 pressures. Has 22 sacks this season. 18 of them have come from the defensive line. Guys, every defensive back is better when you can have 7 of them on the field.
Yeah.
Because Tennessee is consistently rushing 4. They don't have to dial up as many of these blitzes that they did last season. And think back to the end of that Alabama game when Bama put up 49 against Tennessee in a losing effort. How many times late in the game that Tennessee was just rushing Bryce Young and trying to just kind of cage rush him and keep him in the pocket? They don't have to do that this year. James Pierce is getting home on every play. He's the SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week, 3 sacks on Spencer Rattler. That is what Tennessee, South Carolina is supposed to look like, ladies and gentlemen. No disrespect to Shane Beamer in South Carolina. Tennessee is more talented and is better than South Carolina at every position but quarterback. That's what that's supposed to look like, and I think Tennessee certainly showed that it took last year's loss a little bit personally, as they should.
And they should have. That's the proper response to it. I mean, you call it what you want to. That's the game. You get me, I get you back 2 times. Like, that's how it's supposed to be. And hats off to South Carolina, too, for playing it up and being a team that really pushed Tennessee. And you got to tip your cap because, look, they did put a black cloud over the season last year. Sure. And you go into somebody else's backyard, and, of course, they strategically set that up for a night game in Knoxville. That was what was supposed to happen. Again, you can complain about the small things that happen in that game. Joe interceptions, yeah, I get that one. But there's a guy that's been playing really good. 2 guys. Kamal Hadden, got to call it for what it is at times.
He played really well.
And again, he'll give you that, and then he'll give you a DPI and a personal foul on top of it.
Yep.
So he's our, let's respectfully say this, Adam Pac-Man Jones in a sense. Like, Pac would make plays for you, and that's Kamal. I'm just like, gosh, but the environment of it all to cap off a big, call it what you want, revenge game with crazy amount of recruits in all sports was there too. That was a big showcase for this group, man. And no better intro in college football as it stands in the South at night than what they do with that black and orange.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that
when they
atmosphere,
light up the tee like that.
My goodness. Just watching it on television. If it's that good watching it on television in terms of an atmosphere, and I know you guys obviously have been there with the Alabama game, but man, it's
Kentucky
the Kentucky one when they went blackout like that.
Yeah.
Just in terms of environment, though, I mean, that's one of the tough ones to play in, I feel like, just in the country. When it's going.
Whew.
Tennessee's defense this season in terms of yards per play in games involving 2 FBS schools. So this throws out games against FCS programs. Tennessee is 6th in college football in defensive yards per play, actually tied with Ohio State for 4th on this list.
That's getting some attention.
Tennessee's never going to be top 3 or top 5 in total defense in the Southeastern Conference just because of how many plays they have to be out there for. Yards per play is always going to be the metric for Tennessee's defense, and I think in order for them to contend for a college football playoff, which they're currently not doing, of course, please don't twist my words, Twitter warriors, about that, or ex-warriors, whatever you're called now. Tennessee has got to be top 3 in the SEC in yards per play. Defensively.
They have to.
And they're number 1 right now. Tennessee 1, Kentucky 2, Texas A&M 3.
If you're doing that, the question mark games that you have, I would throw A&M in that conversation.
I would too.
Georgia's definitely in that conversation. Kentucky's definitely in that conversation with what they've done. Those question mark games. Bama, of course, you have to continue on playing defense like this. Yeah. You got to be efficient with the ball throughout too. Whoever's calling the plays, up on Rocky Top, the run, have to continuously pound it. Yep. The more you do that, the better this offensive line gets too, it seems.
Tennessee, 477 total yards. They hold Spencer Rattler to 169. Tennessee ranked 8th nationally in rushing offense going into the game, averaging 229.5 yards per game, and they ran for 238 against the South Carolina Gamecocks. That is moving.